Welcome everyone to the August 16th Redevelopment Commission. I don't believe there's going to be any amendments to update the agenda today. I do know that if, before we do roll call, I do know that David said that he might not be able to make it today, so we can go ahead and move forward. So going to the first item on tonight's business is roll call. Commissioners?
Deb Hutton here.
Deborah Meyerson, present.
Nick Kappas here. I don't think Cindy's on. So staff?
John Zodi with hand is here.
Brent Pierce is here from Hand.
Larry Allen Legal.
Alex Crowley with Economic and Sustainable Development.
Okay, awesome. Moving on to item 2 on our agenda, reading of the minutes for August 2nd, 2021 and executive summary for August 2nd, 2021. Commissioners, any comments or edits to both of the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll make a motion to approve the August 2nd minutes and executive summary.
Okay.
Deb Hutton, second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Let's go through roll call.
Deb Hutton, yes.
Cindy
Approved.
Canardi, yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. Reading of minutes passed unanimously. On to item number 3, examination of claims for August 6, 2021 for $1,737,385.04. Any questions by commissioners or comments? If not, we can go ahead and I'd entertain a motion.
This is Cindy Canardi. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the claims as of August 6, 2021.
I'll
Deborah
second.
Meyerson,
Deb Hutton.
second.
All right, we got a motion and a double second. So we're going to go ahead and go to roll call.
Cindy Canardi, yes.
Deb Hutton, yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
Nick Kappas, yes. The examination of claims have passed unanimously. On to item number 4, examination of payroll registers for August 13th, 2021 for $32,436.13. Any comments or questions by commissioners? If not, I entertain a motion.
This is Deb Hutton. I motion that we approve the claims of August 6th, 2021.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll second.
I think it was payroll registers.
Payroll registers.
Oh, right, reading down one. So I'll change that. So Deb Hutton, move to accept approve the payroll registers of August 13th, 2021.
Deborah Meyerson, I'll approve the amended motion.
Thanks, Cindy.
Okay.
Second the amended motion.
All right. It's a Monday, guys. Always a Monday. And so with a motion and a second, let's go to roll call.
Cindy Canardi, yes.
Deb Hutton, yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
And Nick Kappas, yes. Payroll registers for August 13th have been approved unanimously. On to report of officers and committees. Let's go to Director Zodi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, commissioners and members of the public. Not too much on the report tonight. Number 1, I do want to make sure that commissioners know that our departmental budget hearing will be next week. Those are budget hearings that are going on in Bloomington since August 25th. So wanted to keep you updated on that process. Also, the department will be submitting to the Department of Local Government Finance a certification for eligibility for a residential TIF. So there's the basic calculation worksheet that I'm working through that will determine whether the city is eligible to establish one. So there are lots of numbers that go into that with parcels and number of houses and things like that. But that is going to be submitted to DLGF by September 1st. Happy to answer any follow-up questions about it. an hour after the meeting, but wanted to let you know that that was going to be happening. It's just asking for a determination of eligibility. It doesn't, of course, do anything to actually establish one. That's something you all would have to do. But it does seek the determination of eligibility. So we'd let you know that was in the works. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the report, Director Zodi. Any questions or comments by commissioners for Director Zodi? Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
one question. Just curious if I understand that this is simply a certification for eligibility, but just wondering if there's any anticipation, if the certification were granted, of any estimate of, how many units might be, or what land might be eligible in terms of how to allocate the TIF. Just kind of curious in terms of any pre-determination evaluations that the department's done.
Sure. Thanks for the question, Commissioner Myers. There's not. This is just sort of the first step here, and then we would have to determine as a group. I think we'd have to go through discussions on what that would look like. So there's been no more work done on it yet besides that.
Thanks, and I appreciate that you're pursuing the certification. I think that's terrific to seek to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I assume the determination would come like 30 days or something on whether we have the proper eligibility or not. If we don't, it'll be sort of a moot point. But if we do, then we can go from there on what the next steps would be. So thanks for the question.
Okay. Any other questions? Not seeing any. So thank you, Director Zodi. On to legal report. Mr. Allen.
There's no legal report, and since Jeff Underwood's out, there's not going to be a treasurer's report either. However, I'm happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Allen? None? All right, you're off the hook today. And business development updates. Mr. Crowley, Director Crowley, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you. I don't actually have a report. We will get into the meat of the agenda item that we're going to cover. So in the interest of time, but I'm here for any questions anybody might have.
Okay. Any questions for Director Crowley? All right, not seeing any. We're going to jump into item number 6 on tonight's business, which is new business. We only have one resolution, which is resolution 21-42. Approval of conveyance agreement for Showers Administration Building. I'm assuming you are going to take the lead on that, Director Crowley.
I will start into it. Yes, thank you. So let me first introduce, there's some new faces here. We have in appearance Angela Parker, who is with the group that will be presenting a little bit also, Rich Ham, Matt Smith, and Lauren Wood. So they're all joining us. What I'd like to do is give you a little bit of a background on what we're going to talk about here. And then Larry can jump in and provide some details on some terms that we think you should be aware of in the agreement. And then perhaps we can turn it over to Fine Tune and Lauren and Angela for any more general background on the company and the plans moving forward. So what this is the Showers Administration Building. For everybody, just to ground everybody, that's the building on 10th and Morton. It's the former IU Press building. It was acquired by the city as part of the transaction for the Trades District, actually acquired by the RDC. And so this building, which was one of the most beautiful assets in that area and arguably in the city, has been vacant since IU Press left. The RDC has made certain investments in it, a new roof, and the building itself is in pretty good exterior shape. The interior, which has been vacant, is also a little roughed up. So it's in everybody's interest, I think, to have this building brought back to some amount of former glory or new glory, and also, most importantly, to have it occupied, because it's never good for a building like this to sit empty. So there have been attempts in the past preceding me, and then also while I've been at the city, to see if we can find an interested party that has the capacity and the capability of basically, bringing the building back into some usable shape, and ideally in really recognizing the history of the building. It's really beautiful interior in a lot of cases, exterior as well, and to put it back online and make it productive for the city. That's both good for the building itself, it's good for the trades district overall, and it's good for the city overall. So what we've been working with is essentially a plan to get this building out and about, and we're very pleased that there's an interested party, which are represented today. And so what we started with was a letter of intent to kind of iron out some basic terms, which was non-binding. And then that letter of intent has been converted into this conveyance agreement, which is in front of you today. So I will pause and maybe let Larry jump in with a couple of details from the agreement, and maybe we can turn it over to Rich and Matt and Lauren and Angela to talk a little bit about their plans.
Thanks, Alex. I would just first note that this property was offered for sale in accordance with the statute 36-7-1422 in January and February was the notice period of 2014. That was pursuant to an approval resolution 1405 from the Redevelopment Commission. And the offer period expired. Obviously, that was quite a long time ago, but that allows us to negotiate with the party, and that's what we've been able to do here. In this case, the conveyance is for lots 7 and 8, which includes the building itself and the parking lot, for $400,000. There is an option to purchase, a period of time option to purchase for the purchaser for lot 6, which is adjacent to the parking lot. There's also going to be kind of a feasibility period, just so you all are aware. The initial feasibility period for governmental approvals for investigations, environmental and stuff like that, is going to be 120 days. They can extend that. The purchasers can extend that for an additional period as they may need. And of course, we can always work with them to extend that in writing upon mutual agreement of the parties. I will note, just in terms of, we've discussed this before, but for everybody in attendance as well, this purchase agreement is contingent upon an overall investment of $2.5 million into, I say contingent, but it's an agreement to invest a minimum of $2.5 million into the administration building to really help this, as Alex put it, one of the more beautiful buildings stay beautiful and really be a crown jewel of the trades district. So we're very excited about it.
Thanks, Larry. So Rich, Matt, I don't know how you, which of you want to jump in, but maybe if you would talk a little bit about, your interest in the building and some high level plans for it, and also maybe a little bit about your company.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us tonight. I'm Rich. I'm the CEO at Fine-Tune. My first call about 20 years and 1 month ago right now was to Matt Smith, who was a young CFO at that time at a medical imaging company. But Matt had been doing his MBA here in Bloomington while I was finishing my undergrad, and we had become friendly acquaintances. And I thought he would have some thoughts on a business that I was just kind of conceptualizing at the time, a niche expense management consulting solution. And he liked the idea, and so we incorporated Fine-Tune February 1st of 2002. So we're coming up on our 20th year anniversary next February. I actually, the first office, Fine-Tune, was born in the home I'm speaking to you from today. It's my parents' house over in Hyde Park. I actually live in the stands now, but Lauren and his crew have made a mess of my house. And so I'm shacked up with my parents for the month. And so down in the basement of this home in Silver Creek Village is where our company was born back in 2002. But we've made it 20 years, and today, we have evolved. When we started our business, we were just a niche firm targeting one specific industry, but we've expanded our business to become the nuisance expense experts is a good way to describe us. We specialize in a small handful of really burdensome indirect services expenses, industries with pretty well-earned reputations: the uniform and industrial laundering industry, the waste and recycling industry, the pest control industry, and the security and guard services industry. And we are kind of a bulldog defense mechanism for our clients against these these, troublesome expense categories. I'm being somewhat diplomatic as I describe what we do, but we joust with the likes of Waste Management and Cintas and Aramark every day on behalf of increasingly large clients. And we're very lucky to say that in the last 5 years, we've broken into the Fortune 100, and we now manage these expenses for companies like Cargill and Pfizer and DuPont. And, I think we have frankly been, we all know there are some firms out there that have been the beneficiaries of tough times and these recessionary periods as corporate expense management functions have been leaned out. Those large organizations that have fewer resources in these areas have turned to solutions like Fine-Tune to augment what they're able to do in-house. And so we've grown right through those tough times. Along the way, we've developed proprietary software that we use. At its core, it's an auditing application, but it's really a very sophisticated expense management application. And it's a while it was first developed in 2008, it's become a bigger and bigger part of our business. And I wouldn't go so far as to say we are purely a tech company. We're not. We're a consulting business with a significant and growing technological component by virtue of our proprietary software. We've brought development in-house, and I think we're a natural fit for what's happening, what the city's vision is for the trades district, both by virtue of our Bloomington roots and also by virtue of the technological aspect of what we do. I should also note, our history of involvement with IU is significant. We have always staffed our sales support apparatus in a kind of unique way. Instead of going out and hiring full-time inside salespeople to work our database and do the stuff that businesses need to do to open up dialogues with prospective clients and qualify the information in their database, we have always staffed that function via interns from the Kelly School. And I believe over the last 10 to 12 years at least, we've been the largest employer of interns from the Kelly School. And at peak levels, we haven't been at these levels the last couple of years. We've had as many as I think 38 interns in a single semester working at our office in Fountain Square Mall. When the pandemic arrived, we shuttered that office and thought that there would be a good opportunity at some point, in the years ahead. But I never dreamed it would be this perfect. When Alex showed me the building, and then and this will be a good segue to hand it off to both my partner and Lauren. My first two calls were to Matt. He and I are, 20 years later, are equal partners in Fine-Tune. And by the way, we formed a separate LLC for the purchase of this building. We just didn't think that the asset was necessarily, it was more appropriate for us to do this separately from Fine-Tune. But our vision is it will be our headquarters, and then we will also lease out, space. We don't need the whole building, which also I think fits with the city's vision for optimal use of the property. But my first call after Matt and I looked at the property was, I said, well, my friend Lauren surely knows, something about this building. And little did I know he knew a lot about the building. And so that was able to kind of speed up the process. Lauren already thought very highly of this, the building. And then when he heard about us as a potential buyer, he thought it was a perfect fit, and he's been super helpful. And I know that, with Lauren and his team doing the work, we will deliver on what the city wants to see in this space, which is to make it just a crown jewel in that area. It's what we want. We want it, because we want an awesome headquarters, but we also want it because we want it, Bloomington's been a part of our story, and we want, we want it to be something that just everybody associated with this and people who aren't even feel good about. And so it's kind of, my vision is it embraces yesterday, but it's also tomorrow, kind of brought together the history and the technological aspects of what we do. Seems like a perfect fit there, and Lauren will surely bring that to light with his team. Matt, what have I left out? I'm babbling over here.
Yeah, I think the one big piece is we are also a certified B corporation.
Yes.
And so we have had an increasing focus in sustainable and environmental efforts. We just kind of figured out it's a natural component of what we're doing, which is reducing usage of certain services. And this was something that Rich had a vision for and a passion about, and has driven our company in this direction. Well, this building also fits really neatly within that world as well. The most sustainable way to develop a property is to use one that's already there. And so we really like the fit from that aspect as well. I mean, it really fits from both the sustainability side and the tech side, which I know the city is trying to brand that corridor a little more of a tech corridor. So we love it from the perspective as well of, just sustainable development. We're eager to explore not only from a restoration standpoint, all of the things that we can do, but how we can make it, sustainable and energy efficient and all of those things as well. We're interested in exploring that approach to the project also. So
Our director of sustainability happens to be a Bloomington resident who at some point, some of you might have dumped some recyclables in. His name is Chad Roeder, and at one point he worked with the city and the solid waste district to build with his bare hands, literally what was known as the downtown Bloomington Recycling Center. It was right on Showers Plaza parking lot. He's got his own really cool backstory and is a brilliant guy, but he's kind of heading up our sustainability department, which will be a growing part of our business in the years ahead. And we're hoping to, with this space in place, we're hoping to grow what we're doing with SPIA and separately also with, some information systems students as we grow what we're doing in that area. So yeah, I don't know that I'm.
Yeah, I mean, that is really a big part of it. I mean, the IU connection, obviously we have roots. Rich lives there, his parents are there. I went to, Kelly, and my wife is from Bloomington, so we have a lot of roots in Bloomington. But really, one of the main attractions for us has been this relationship with the university. We have just a tremendous, long-standing relationship that has gone on, and it's been really beneficial for both parties. And we're looking to expand that. I mean, we would like to do more with them. Rich touched on a couple of other schools that we haven't even tapped into yet. SPIA with the sustainability stuff, and now we're really doing a lot of tech work, and we have in-house development. We would love to develop a relationship with that part of the school as well.
Probably worth noting, we hire our best 1 or 2 interns just about every year. And if we grow what we're doing with IU, we're going to keep more talented kids around. And now we can have a building, hopefully, to put them to work in. Hey, Lauren, you want to add anything to your role and your vision for the building?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know that I have much to add. I run a local construction company, residential and commercial, largely renovation based. We do some new construction, some small scale development, but largely we renovate old homes and businesses around Bloomington. And, I've been involved with this project for a couple of years now, since early 2019, I think, with a variety of different negotiations. And to say I'm excited about this project is an understatement. I think this, an opportunity to preserve a building like this and breathe new life into it and re-envision, carry the beautiful infrastructure and aesthetics of what's there into the next iteration of this building and repurpose it for the next generation is, an opportunity that doesn't come along very often. So I'm just really excited to be a part of it and to bring our team and our sort of skill set and experience with adaptive reuse and historic renovations to the project. So I'm very excited.
We should probably field your questions.
Laura, are you finished with your initial pitch here?
We can be, yeah. That's who we are. I could babble a lot longer, but I feel like that hopefully gives you a general idea of who we are and what we're envisioning here.
So maybe just to wrap that portion up, President Kappas, I think what I would say is, so there's obviously the doing the building right, and then there's what happens inside the building, the actual programming the interior of it. And what's nice about this proposal and this group is that both seem to be important elements to what they're bringing. And they have a vision for both. And, this connection with IU, this 10th Street corridor, between the trades district and all the assets that are happening on the east side of 10th Street, down towards the east. If you recall, the trades district is the certified tech park is actually a partnership between IU and the city. And so it just kind of seems to fit pretty well together here. So we're pleased with where things are right now.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and open this up to commissioners for any questions to staff and or petitioner, not really a petitioner, but individuals who are speaking here tonight. So commission, any questions?
This is Deb Hutton. So a question of how much adaptation, as in physical, let alone creative and beautiful, will there be to bring the building up to a very high tech standard and to attach it to the existing trades district's technological properties?
I'll allow Matt and Lauren to chime in here, before I let them jump in and share what their thoughts are. I do want to note, because it's probably worth saying, we happen to really love the way the building is laid out for our purposes.
Mhm.
And I think that we can set it up to provide a really nice kind of landing spot. Consider it almost like a graduation point from the mill into the administration building. There's, for firms that maybe started out in 2 or 3 cubicles or a tiny little office and need a little more space, I think that we can be kind of a place that those firms move next when they're outgrowing the mill. And as it relates to just the way the rooms and the 2 floors are set up, we don't see a whole lot we need to change from just the design of the building. It really suits us quite well. Matt and Lauren, jump in and maybe give a little more specific answer to Deb's question.
Well, I think the tech piece will sort of take care of itself just by virtue of what we're doing in there. I mean, we're going to continue to brand ourselves as a tech business, and then we would love to align with the mill, as Rich indicated. And so it's going to have a tech focus in terms of what's happening there. But as far as the design goes, and I'll let Lauren chime in here, as Rich indicated, we're thrilled with kind of the layout. We really like, especially that ground floor for us. And we're thinking the top floor could work really well for some other use like, mill graduation and so forth. But there has been some discussion about reorienting the building to face the trades district back there, and we got to bring it up to code. And so there's going to be some stuff on that kind of back side of the building we have to put an elevator in. And so some stuff is going to take place back there. But the idea is we're going to try to make it look as close to what it did many years ago as possible, with those few things that we need to do to bring it up to code, and kind of reorienting, the facing of the building. But I think we will get there in terms of kind of the tech piece just by virtue of what we're doing there. I don't think we're going to make it look techy, if you will. It's going to look like the historic.
I'm thinking of the practical connections from your inside your building out to what exists in the trades district that's already been, pre-set up as tech infrastructure.
Exactly. And we're looking to fully brand that. And we would love to, co-brand with the city. I know the city wants to look at
cancel that. Yeah.
What was that?
Thanks, Christina.
That is a Zoom bomb. You've probably never been a part of one of those, have you?
I've never seen that before.
That was a first.
The first.
Okay.
So that happens sometimes when you have a public Zoom meeting like this. Anyone can hack it, not hack in, but just enter any open one that doesn't require a password.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to work on that with our tech business, see if we can solve that problem in the future for the city. But
Lauren, anything you might add, you want to add as it relates to? I'm a little outside my comfort zone, giving any kind of technical answer here.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that, but Deb, I will say that the first time I remember the first time I went through that building, and I was just struck with how intact all of the original millworks and woodwork, and just the building has been so well preserved compared to other buildings of that era and other, other pieces of the Showers complex. You know, I assume most of you have been through the Dimension Mill, and maybe we're through it before its most recent renovation. And you know, so this building needs much less than that building did to bring it up to snuff and bring it back into relevance. Like Matt said, you know, it needs to be reoriented towards the west, both to create access, you know, ADA access and access to all floors, as well as I think to be able to re-envision it sort of in keeping with the renovations and updates that were done to the Dimension Mill, to the Solution Tree building to the south, and to the main Showers complex that the city occupies. And really that west facing revisioning is where the bulk of the visible updates would happen. Those of y'all who are familiar with the building, the west face is currently just these boiler rooms that are all concrete block. They weren't even original to the building, and that's really the only facade that we see requiring updates. And
Thanks, everyone.
Sure.
So I have two questions. My first question, if I understood the presentation, talking about primarily using the building as a headquarters, but maybe not using all the buildings. And I wanted to, or all the space in the building. I just wanted to see how that kind of matched up with section 4B use period. Is the company planning to use the space for the 10 years or?
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, this is going to be our headquarters. I think initially we probably will look towards this potential partnership or arrangement or whatever we will call it with the mill for potentially the top floor. But we've already talked about, you know, a potential need to acquire the other parking lot that's associated with this project for expansion space. I mean, there is a likely scenario here that we just need the whole building in relatively short order. I mean, we could take half immediately and grow into the rest over time. Then, of course, depending on how successful things are with the collaboration with the mill. And so, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be our headquarters. Rich lives there, you know, we're not going anywhere. And so we do expect to occupy it for a very long time.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, Cindy, I was excited enough about the building that even before the thought of leasing space in part of it had crossed my mind, I was inclined to try to do this and grow into it over time. And then when Alex said at some point along the way, and maybe Alex, you can chime in here, but it sounds to me, I don't want to make sure I'm speaking out of turn, but it sounded to me like, if anything, the city desired, it was preferable that at least some portion of the building would be available as leased space, you know, for other, you know, entrepreneurial activity within the district. Do I have that about right, Alex? I want to make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, no. So one of the, you know, the mill is wildly successful, as I think everybody knows, and you know, some of the hottest properties inside the mill are actually the office spaces, and it's almost impossible to get one if you want one. And also the membership is starting to grow to capacity, right? Which is great. All of that is great. So there's definitely a pent-up demand out there for graduation space or you know, additional spaces for in proximity to the mill that is doing such great programming. So the location of the building and the way that it's laid out, and you know, there's just a lot of potential benefits that if fine-tune can, you know, make some of that space available. I think we would see it from the city's perspective as an asset that was available to the growing entrepreneurship activities in Bloomington. We'd love to see that happen.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, but we're not going to demand that all of our 40 full-time employees relocate to Bloomington immediately. And so but we know that over time, we're kind of going to lure some of them. how many IU folks on the team? So, I mean, maybe 10, 12?
We got a lot of IU people, and we've
Yeah.
hired many full-timers from our intern program. So I mean, it's probably like half, maybe a third of the workforce.
About
are
a third,
IU
yeah.
grads, yeah.
And so I think a few of them will avail themselves of the opportunity to relocate to Bloomington, and then others that we hire out of, just who graduate into full-time jobs with us will stick around. And so, I think over time we will at some point need the whole building, and maybe that's a 5-year horizon, 7-year horizon. Who knows? Something in that range is likely, and that's why we like also having the ability down the line to do something in lot 8 or lot 6? I get confused on the.
I think it's lot 6 is the
6.
furthest one away. But I mean, I think it is worth noting that we were prepared to just buy it even without the potential with the mill connection there, and the nice things that Alex has said about it, and the support from that direction. We were just going to buy it for ourselves anyway. So, we can afford it with our business, which is exciting. Where we've grown to the point where something like this isn't a problem for our company to pay for it. But, it would be nice we don't need it all immediately. And to the extent that we can become, more of a part of that community down there, we would love to explore that. And I think Alex's vision for it makes a ton of sense, and it could be a really cool, we looked at that top floor, we're talking about maybe a balcony up there. We could really make it a really nice, attractive thing for those kind of graduating folks from the mill. Just seems like a really good fit.
We've also opened up some discussions with IU Ventures, and it sounds like there's a likelihood that will lead to some, probably some future occupants in our building will come through that program as well.
Commissioner Marison, you have any questions? Oh, go ahead, Cindy. Sorry, go ahead.
Question, I'm just curious, but the way the purchase agreement is structured, it appears that close on the real estate within the first 30 days, and then there's another due diligence period after that. I'm just curious why it was set up like that.
Angela, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, it's set up to close 30 days after the contingencies are satisfied, which is a 120-day long period. So that it won't actually close until the conditions, which are in paragraph 3, are satisfied or waived by the buyer.
Okay, thank you. I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Marison, you have any questions?
I'm excited about the project. Just wanted to clarify, it says that the renovation will be committed to be completed within a year. Just want to confirm. I just know that certainly, granted it's rehab and not new construction in terms of just supply stalemates that are happening in some cases are longer, fulfillment times. Just clarifying, you anticipate that the renovation in a 1-year period is reasonable and that occupancy would happen within that 1 year?
Lauren?
It's actually, they have to commence within the year.
Yeah.
So the language of 4A is that the purchaser agrees to begin renovation within 1 year from the closing date. So I don't know that it's anticipated to be complete. Lauren can speak to that more specifically.
Go on, Lauren.
Thank you, Angela. Sooner we start, sooner we finish.
Well, look, we are eager to get going. We're already investigating, we kind of already have started due diligence, even though we don't want to be too presumptive here, but, and Lauren has had some history with the property already, which kind of gives us a good chance to hit the ground running here, which is our, what we expect to do. But we are without a home currently in Bloomington. And so our intern program, we have students with cell phones. It's not the greatest situation for us right now. So we are motivated to move quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth to note, there may be some challenges. Who knows what we might encounter with supply chain and/or issues with the property itself. But our intention is to start and go quickly.
For what it's worth, I told the guy who manages the Kelly students on our team that I thought it was realistic that he could work with a team of students starting the first semester, January of 2023, which means, we're getting real busy as soon as we close, and, doing finishings late next year. And that's our goal. And Lauren has told me I'm not crazy for thinking that can be done.
And as Matt said, I mean, not to be presumptuous, but they started, they hired us the moment that they started negotiations with the city. So they've been investing in, due diligence, design, and consultations with engineers. In fact, fellows, I got the engineering report just right before this meeting. I'll send that to you afterwards. But we've been working full steam ahead under the assumption that we're going to figure out a way to make this work with the city. But they're doing, they're anxious to find a new landing spot, and really, really hopeful that this is it.
Yeah, just to piggyback what Commissioner Myerson was saying is, as our plan commission can kind of be a holdup. So if you guys are doing facade work, I don't know if that's something that's going to have to go in front of them or not. I'm a year out of being on the plan commission, so it's like, not on the top of my head right now, but just making sure that you guys do stick to 4A, because that's the only one in here that would be of concern from a compliance standpoint. I do have a question about the part in 10.6 about purchaser agrees to invest a minimum of $2,500,000 as an investment to renovate the administration building. So, Larry, when you were talking about it, you and were talking about it in the beginning. I think I misunderstood you. I hope you can clarify. I thought you said that we were going to help with the 2.5 million, or is that just the purchaser?
That's just the purchaser total investment into the property, which includes the purchase price of the land and the cost that they're undergoing with the engineering and everything that they've done up until this point. So that is just the purchaser. We have not committed any dollar amount to help with the renovation. What we have committed to, though, is being supportive of as the buyer, the purchaser here goes and looks for maybe state tax credits or anything like that might be out there, short of a property tax abatement locally. We would certainly support that and give them whatever they might need to make those applications happen. And I know that we've already put in one application for such a program. Unfortunately, it was denied, but we're actively trying to help.
So hand and legal resources, is that what we're using, or to help them?
It was through Alex's department mainly for those. I mean, it's going to depend on what's out there and what they want to pursue and what makes sense for this project. But certainly, whatever city resources make sense. To kind of lend our support to that as well.
Well, Alex has already been helpful. He's teed up a couple of different grant opportunities. I've already had a few discussions with different state organizations to see what's available. The more that's available to us, we're excited to see whatever we can get, because it just gives us that much more to work with here to do something really special. So I have two separate conversations already in process with various state agencies, and Alex was really nice to tee one of those up for us. So we're not really expecting the city to do too much here, other than provide support as needed if there's a question or something in an application or what have you that might require a little assistance or maybe a letter of support. But we
I would just quickly add that one of our ways of support is also the purchase price in this case, because this is a project we're very excited about and we think is going to do great things, and so that's one of the ways we came to that purchase price.
And another, if you do the facade grant, the Historic Preservation Commission and likely the Historic Preservation Manager, who's new, both would be able to and happy to provide their support letters or ideas or whatever for that kind of grant, for that particular grant.
You know, Deb, Lauren and I already, I can't remember if you joined for that too, Smitty, did you? We went, we went to visit the HPC, what, about a month ago now, I think? And just to introduce ourselves and make sure it was really just a listening session for us, but it was like, you know, tell us what's important to you so we can make sure you've been heard. And we're planning in late October to have a design charrette that will include, I would imagine, somebody from HPC and you know, various bodies that are going to have an interest in the project. So we want to do a lot of listening and make sure we've heard not only good ideas, but just people's biases and, you know, what's important to them, so we can try to make as many people happy as possible while emerging with what we need.
And don't forget to ask them for their signatures on your facade grant if you go for one. I mean,
Good advice.
that too, not just give you advice, but sign support.
Yeah. Any other questions by commissioners? If not, this is the time I usually allow for public comment on the new business resolution, or is there any one from the public that would like to comment about this resolution? Not seeing any raised hands or anything in there. So with that, back to the commission. Any final thoughts or questions or comments?
It's an awesome project.
Yep, I agree. I'm really glad that this is happening. It's been much needed. It could be a catalyst, could be a spark for other areas in this area. So other plots in this area, I should say. So, you know, we appreciate you taking the risk, you know, in headquartering in Bloomington. It's an amazing place to headquarters. So, you know, I'm glad that this is the location that you chose. So with that, I would entertain a motion for resolution 21-42 by the commissioners.
I echo all the sentiments, and I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution 21-42.
Deb Hutton, second.
Here we have a motion and a second. We're gonna go to roll call.
Cindy Canarney, yes.
Deb Hutton, yes.
Deborah Meyerson, yes.
Nick Kappas.
Yes.
Oh, Dave. And David Walters says yes. Nick Kappas, yes. That is a unanimous approval of resolution 21-42, which concludes tonight's new business. And that will move us to item number 7, which is business general discussion. Anything for the good of the order, staff and/or commissioners?
Nope, just can't wait to see what they do at the building. Couldn't be more excited. It'll be a great addition and renovation for a historic downtown building. So couldn't be happier.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
I agree. Thank you for, you know, like I said, for, you know, staying in Bloomington and revitalizing. Sustainability is huge. I actually was on the environmental commission with Chad, so I know
How are
him
you?
personally, and he's a great guy. So
Cool.
I'm glad
Tell him you
that
said
he's
hi.
on your, yeah,
Thanks to
absolutely.
everybody for your
Appreciate
kind words of support and your approval.
it. Anything else by commission, staff? No? Then we're on to item number 8, which is adjournment. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
David Walter, move we adjourn.
All right, I'm gonna count that as a second by David. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Everyone have a great night. Be safe out there.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.